Greetings to one and all. Today's presentation is an article from Lancet 2020. It was published in the 29th September edition, and the title of the article is Invasive versus Non-Invasive Management of Older Patients with NSTEMI, a cohort-based study on routine clinical data. I'm your presenter, Dr. Siddharth Pandey, and the moderator is Dr. Karthik Rao. So as an introduction, most patients with an NSTEMI are aged 70 years or above, and the proportion of global population aged 80 years or older is projected to triple over the next 20 years. Increasing age is a key predictor of adverse events in patients with coronary artery disease, wherein older patients presenting with acute coronary syndrome are at a higher risk of short-term and long-term adverse effects in comparison to the younger patients. However, the rate of invasive coronary angiography declines with age. Only 38% of patients with NSTEMI who are aged 18 years or above receive a coronary angiogram in comparison to the 78% of patients who are aged 60 years or below. Discussing the need for the study, large randomized trials showed a long-term survival advantage for invasive management compared with non-invasive management of NSTEMI, but the mean age of participants was always in the range of 60 to 70. The mean age here was 66 years. Very few patients in their 80s or above were enrolled into these studies. And also, many physicians manage only a minority of older patients with NSTEMI invasively. The methods that we've used here, the study design and participants. The data for the study was obtained from 5 tertiary care centres with emergency departments, namely Imperial College Healthcare London, University College Hospital London, Oxford University Hospitals London, Oxford, King's College Hospital London, and Guy's and St Thomas Hospital London. The target of the study was comparing patients who had invasive management for NSTEMI. The invasive management here was defined as coronary angiography with or without subsequent revascularization within 3 days of peak troponin concentration with patients who did not receive any such invasive management. Here we have the study profile. Initially, we took around 61,342 patients more than 80 years of age with troponin measurements. Of these, only around 4,317 had acute coronary syndrome, and of these patients also only 2,788 were diagnosed with NSTEMI. Of these patients, around 116 patients had some missing data, while 696 patients had concurrent acute primary illnesses. The NSTEMI occurred secondary to which. Now, in the end, we had around 1976 patients with a primary diagnosis of NSTEMI. Of these, 860 had invasive management within 3 years of peak troponin concentration, while 1116 did not have invasive management within 3 days of the peak troponin concentration. Also, we have with invasive management within the 3 days of troponin concentration, around 24 patients died within the first 3 days and 836 survived. Of these also, after given all the exclusion of the extreme propensity scores, 655 had eligible propensity scores. And of the patients who had died also, the patients who had died in the first 3 days, they were not included in the study in the first go. Similarly, of the 1,116 patients who did not have any invasive management within the first 3 days of peak troponin concentration, 77 died within the first 3 days, and 139 survived 3 days after troponin concentration. 194 had extreme propensity scores and hence were not eligible for the study. Only 845 were thereon added later. So here in the end we have 866 patients including invasive management included in the invasive management group for intention to treat analysis at 3-year follow-up, while in the non-invasive wing we had 892 included in the non-invasive management group for intention to treat analysis at 3-year follow-up. Coming to the outcomes, the primary outcome was all-cause mortality, and the secondary outcome was the number of hospital admissions for heart failure during the follow-up. In post-hoc analysis, new hospital admissions for bleeding, stroke, acute coronary syndrome, and further invasive management were examined. Coming to the statistics, classification of patients who die within the 3 days of peak troponin concentration without invasive management to the comparison study would cause an immortal time bias, hence they were all excluded. And the propensity scores, that is, the patient's estimated probability of receiving invasive management, were derived using logistic regression for patients who did not die within the 3 days of peak troponin concentration. The final propensity score model was based on backward stepwise selection with a p-value threshold of 0.2. We considered the following pretreatment variables such as patient demographics, blood test results, cardiovascular risk factors, cardiovascular disease, renal disease, respiratory disease, neurological disease, psychiatric disease, and other comorbidities, and also markers of frailty since it was a geriatric age group. The comorbidity domain of the frailty index was calculated as a score ranging between 0 and 1. Kaplan-Meier plots were used to display the cumulative risk of mortality and hospital admission for heart failure over time in each treatment group, and Cox models, which were stratified by center, were used to estimate mortality hazard ratios, comparing invasive management with non-invasive management in patients who did not die within the 3 days of peak troponin concentration and who were in the eligible propensity score strata. Coming to the results, of the 61,342 patients aged 30 years and above who had troponin measurements, only 2,788 had a diagnosis of NSTEMI. 116 patients were excluded because of missing data or more variables, and 916 had concurrent primary diagnosis with an acute illness. Of the 1,976 patients included, 961 underwent invasive management during their index examination, of whom 860 had invasive management during the first 3 days after the peak troponin concentration. There were around 890 deaths, around 45% deaths in the included 1976 patients, of which 101 were in the first 3 days after the peak troponin concentration. These 101 patients were excluded from the next stage of the analysis. In the end, 1,500 patients were included in the next stage of analysis, had a median age of around 86 years, and revascularization was done in around 486 of the 655 patients undergoing invasive management. Here, the revascularization refers to angioplasty and not the angiography, which is also counted as one of the invasive modality. The strongest predictor of invasive management were inter-hospital transfer, wherein a patient was shifted from a primary healthcare center or a secondary healthcare center to a tertiary healthcare center, as mentioned above, and a family history of ischemic heart diseases. Interstitial lung disease and indicators of frailty were strong predictors of non-invasive management. During median 3 years follow-up, there were around 613 deaths, around 41%. At 5 years, Kaplan-Meier estimates of cumulative mortality from 3 days after peak troponin concentration were 31% in the invasive management group, and 61%, which is proportionately high, in the non-invasive. The inverse probability of treatment weighted Kaplan-Meier plot shows an estimated 5-year cumulative mortality of 36% in all the patients who received invasive intervention, compared with 55% if all received non-invasive intervention. Here is a graph displaying the same. The numbers of patients who were invasively managed during follow-up were 103, and of the 655 in the invasive management group, and around 161, that is 19% of the 845 patients in the non-invasive group. 14% of the 845 patients in the non-invasive group were invasively managed between 4 and 28 days after their peak troponin. However, the proportion of patients who were invasively managed after 28 days was smaller for the non-invasive group than the invasive group itself. Invasive management was done during a recurrent acute coronary syndrome admission only in about 5% patients in the invasive group, but it was higher in the non-invasive group, which was around 8%. Of those undergoing further invasive management in the invasive group, 68, that is 66%, had revascularization in comparison with the 15% of those in the non-invasive management during their index hospital admission. The number of patients admitted with heart failure during follow-up was 76 in the invasive group and 127 in the non-invasive group. Invasive management was associated with a lower risk of hospital admissions for heart failure than the non-invasive. Coming to the discussion, the estimated 32% lower mortality in patients who receive invasive management compared with those who receive non-invasive management strengthens the evidence for an invasive approach. Invasive management was associated with a lower incidence of heart failure admissions, acute coronary syndromes, and invasive management requirement during a follow-up. Patients aged 80 years or above represent a growing population of the patients presenting with NSTEMI, but these patients are much likely to receive any invasive management. Similarly, we have some concurrent studies wherein the European Society of Cardiology guidelines suggest that older patients should be considered for invasive management and revascularization, and also American Heart Association has similar recommendations. Ongoing studies. We have an ongoing trial, that is Senior Rita trial, which aims to randomly assign 2,300 patients with NSTEMI aged 75 years or older to receive invasive or non-invasive management. With a 5-year follow-up plan, the primary outcome is a composite of cardiovascular death and non-fatal myocardial infarction with an estimated completion in 2029. Coming to the interpretation of the entire study, in the end, I'd like to say that the survival advantage of invasive compared with non-invasive management appears to extend to patients with NSTEMI who are 80 years or above. Thank you.